Omaha's news leader, chronicling the stories and people making a difference in our community. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
Genetics determine who we are. They allow us to pass down traits for generations to come. But what can happen when these genes mutate? Thanks for joining us. I'm Quinicia Fraser. Today marks the start of National Hereditary Cancer Week. And when certain genes mutate, they can cause an increased risk for certain cancers. So far, 11 different cancers are known to be linked to genetic mutations. While breast, ovarian, and colon are the most notable, lung, stomach, pancreatic, endocrine, kidney, prostate, uterine, and even skin cancer all join the list. And while all cancers are technically genetic, since it involves our own cells growing out of control, 10 to 15% are passed down by a parent. And finding out if you're a carrier is as easy as sharing your family history with a doctor's office. We spoke with Kate Hunley, the genetic nurse practitioner at CHI Lakeside's Breast Health Center. She was able to break down what causes these risks in patients.
When we talk about doing genetic testing, the genes that are tested are all normal genes in our bodies. We all have them. They're called tumor suppressor genes, and they work with our immune systems to identify cells that have been damaged. So when they don't behave correctly, your body can't identify the cells that have been damaged, which is happening all day long. Specific mutations on these genes can lead to an increased risk for developing cancer, and you inherit one of these from one of your parents. Lots of different cancers they've identified that fall in line with hereditary cancer risk. Providers are starting to identify patients sooner as carriers, and then hopefully trying to find family members to be able to test so that, we can make these changes so it's not part of their story.
Now, it's important to remember that inheriting a cancer gene does not mean you will definitely get cancer. It does mean that your risk of getting cancer is higher than the average person. Skylar Jez, a physician's assistant with Mid-City OBGYN, also weighs in on genetic testing. She says, quote, "Your genes are broken in a way that make you look like you. Mine are broken in a way that makes me look like me." While genetic breaks can cause an increased risk for developing cancer, she says that knowledge is power. And for people who know they are carriers, there are several screening and treatment options based on what's best for them.
Being able to really personalize your care so that we know why the cancers happen in your family, and then being able to take appropriate measures and making the best recommendations in order to reduce or eliminate your risk. So in some cases, we can recommend simply additional screening. There can be additional recommendations for surgeries, bilateral mastectomies with or without reconstruction, in a preventative setting in order to nearly eliminate the risk of developing a breast cancer. With colon cancer screenings, often the intervals have changed. And so now we're starting our colon cancer screenings at 45 anyway. But then for people that carry a Lynch syndrome gene, we may be looking at doing colonoscopies every 1 to 3 years. Being able to really personalize your care so that we know why the cancers happen in your family, and then being able to take appropriate measures and making the best recommendations in order to reduce or eliminate your risk.
So now the big question, who should get tested? Here is a list of factors to consider according to the National Cancer Institute. You may want to consider genetic testing if you were diagnosed with cancer before turning 50, you have several different kinds of cancer, you have cancer in both sets of an organ like both breasts or kidneys, several first-degree family members have the same type of cancer, you have physical differences linked to certain cancer syndromes, or you're a member of a racial or ethnic group known for having certain inherited cancer syndromes and have one of the other factors listed. If you or a loved one identify with one of these factors, you should talk to your primary care provider on the next steps. Well, as gene carriers and their loved ones start to navigate the type of care they need, organizations like the Hereditary Cancer Foundation are there to help. It was founded right here in Omaha in 2015 by Brandy Preston. She's the daughter of late Omaha police officer Kami K. Preston. Kami learned late in her fight with the disease that she was a BRCA1 gene carrier. On her deathbed, Kami made her 3 children promise to get tested before they ever had to go through the battle she went through. Brandy took that promise to heart by creating a foundation dedicated to educating the community about hereditary cancer risks. Since the foundation has started, they've been able to identify gene carriers in the community and give them resources to find a treatment plan that works best for them. Well, Sarah Virus is the executive director of the foundation, and she is joining me now. Sarah, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I first want to ask you, it sounds like a basic question, but why is this foundation so important to families in Omaha?
It's a way for us to connect to the community with people like myself that carry the genes and other people with the genes themselves too, or going through cancer. And it's nice to have just a little group of people to share information about, share different things that we're experiencing ourselves, what we've gone through. It's just a good way to have some camaraderie with people going through the same thing.
Which is so important. And can you talk about the similarities to finding out that you're a gene carrier versus to finding out you do have cancer?
So when I found out I was a gene carrier, it was something that I took very seriously, just as I would have if I had cancer. Finding out what I needed to do to protect myself, to protect my family members, my children. So working with the doctors, my providers, to find out my next steps.
Yeah, and for those who do find out they are gene carriers, what are the resources that they can get?
One of the biggest things that I tell people if they are newly diagnosed is to make sure you stay in constant contact with your providers, because you can have more screenings at earlier ages. You can have surgeries to prevent your cancer before you get cancer. There's different testings that you can do just to make sure that you're staying healthy.
And you played a big part in Chairs to Recovery. Tell me about that.
So in 2020, me and a couple other ladies in our group, we founded Chairs to Recovery. We loan lift chairs to women having breast surgery due to cancer or due to having a gene and having a preventative mastectomy.
And we've got some colorful stuff in this
Yes.
basket between us. Tell me about all of this.
Yes, so when you have a mastectomy, you can't use your arms, and it's just kind of uncomfortable, having that surgery. The lift chairs let women recover a little bit more comfortably with surgery, and we also like to give them these bags that have special mastectomy pillows in them, and just a comfy blanket, just to give that feeling of that you're being thought about by other people. Helps you recover a little faster too.
Just talking to you and other cancer survivors, something I'm realizing is it's so crucial to have that network, right? To have that connection. Can you talk about how that can really help people, get through their journey, especially emotionally and mentally?
Yeah, having been through it myself, I'm able to connect with these women going through surgery and can relate to them on what it's like to, be healing, and having people that you can talk to about things that you're going through, things that you could talk to your doctor about, but from, a personal perspective, having gone through that, it's a little more comforting to know that things will be okay.
Yeah. And you just had your first foundation, or your first gala for the foundation. How was that?
That was a lot of fun. It was an opportunity for us to all come together just to raise money for all of the programs that we offer with the foundation, and be able to see what we're doing and where we're going in the future.
Sarah, what's something that you think people often forget, or what big misconception do you think is out there?
I think people think that it's scary to find out not only to have cancer, but to have a hereditary cancer mutation. It can be scary. And what I find is that it's comforting to have other people to talk to. People have been through it, because when you have a high risk of cancer, you can do many things to prevent it. So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, is that it can be really scary and people don't want to know. But in reality, you can take way more steps knowing and not waiting till it's too late.
That makes so much sense. You know, for the foundation, what are your hopes moving forward?
I just hope that we can get to more people, access more people, to educate them on how important it really is to know your risk. Even though it's scary, we have people ourselves that have gone through walked those paths, and we're here to help them and understand more about the risks involved and what they can do to be proactive in their health.
And when, I know we're quizzing you right now, when it comes to hereditary testing, do you think there's any misconceptions about that?
So my family, not all of them want to know, but I have 2 children that wanted to know. It can be scary for everybody involved, but I think it's just good to educate about why it is important to know. So that's big. Not finding out right away could mean that you have cancer later on, if you're not screening soon enough. So I feel like it's just important to know, even though like some people in our family don't want to know. That's fine. But we also know that if something arises, that they're also can be at a higher risk factor for having something. So just being there to follow up with them and encourage them later on if something goes wrong.
If people want to get involved with the foundation, what should they do? How can they get involved?
We are always looking for volunteers. You can find all of the latest information on our website at hereditarycancer.org.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining
Yes,
us. And I know I've learned a lot. I'm sure the people watching will learn a lot about hereditary cancer.
Yes.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, while learning you're a carrier can impact your physical health, it can also take a toll on your mental health. Up next, we talk to a previvor and survivor about her journey and how she's using her diagnosis to educate others.